Stop letting your mind run you. Stop fighting the same battles because you forgot to reprogram what causes them. The truth is simple. Your mind is a machine. It does not care about your goals. It obeys its code. And that code was written by repetition, by your habits, your reactions, your comfort. Today, we rewrite the code. Today, we teach your mind to obey you. This is how to program your mind for self-control and success. Full training system for mental discipline, focus, and emotional command. Listen carefully, then listen again. This is not advice. This is a mental upgrade. Chapter 1. Stop running on autopilot. You wake up, you reach for your phone, you scroll. You don't even think about it, you just do it. That's autopilot. And it's the silent killer of potential. Most people aren't living, they're reacting. They wake up powered by habit, driven by impulse, guided by nothing. And then they wonder why every day looks like yesterday. You're not tired because life is hard. You're tired because your mind is on loop. Stop right now, wherever you are, stop. Take a breath. That flicker of awareness you just felt. That's your first rewrite. Say it out loud. Awareness is the first rewrite. Again, awareness is the first rewrite. Your life runs on programs written years ago by repetition, by fear, by the rewards of comfort. Every reaction you've had on impulse has carved a groove in your brain. You've been rehearsing weakness. You've been memorizing distraction. But here's the truth. No one tells you. The human mind is programmable. And right now, you are either programming it or letting the world program it for you. Autopilot is comfort disguised as control. Autopilot gives you the illusion of control. You think your routines mean you're disciplined, but most of them mean you're asleep. Because if your habits are not built consciously, they were installed accidentally by parents, peers, or pressure. How many times have you caught yourself mid-scroll thinking, what am I even looking for? That's not curiosity, that's conditioning. Autopilot trains you to seek comfort, not growth, convenience, not clarity, reaction, not direction. You have a choice. That's the key. You can either keep reacting to your impulses or you can start reprogramming your triggers, and it starts small. One decision of awareness at a time. Awareness interrupts the code. Every time you notice yourself repeating a pattern, you break the rhythm of your programming. Awareness doesn't fix everything, it just interrupts the loop so you can write something new. Say it again. Awareness is the first rewrite. You cannot change what you don't notice, you cannot master what you refuse to see. And autopilot thrives on blindness. That's why you must practice catching yourself in motion, the halfway point of an impulsive act. Catch yourself about to open the app. Catch yourself about to snack mindlessly. Catch yourself about to lash out. That exact second, that pause is power. Pause, choose, rewrite. That's your new algorithm. Every moment you do that, you're reinstalling discipline. You're saying to your brain, I am in charge again. You don't need their permission. You don't need to wait for Monday. You don't need motivation. You need awareness and repetition. The loop of reaction versus the loop of choice. Here's the loop most people live in. Trigger, emotion, reaction, regret. And then they call it a bad day, but it wasn't a bad day. It was a predictable script. You've been running that same mental movie for years. You don't argue with the screen after the movie plays. You change the script before it rolls. So here's the loop of discipline. Trigger, awareness, choice, power. That's not philosophy, that's programming. Every trigger is just an opportunity to run your upgraded code. Pause, assess, decide. You can train yourself to respond to life like a professional, not an amateur. Professionals don't react, they execute. They feel the impulse, then choose the instruction. Say it again. Awareness is the first rewrite. Real-world reprogramming. Let me give you a real example. You get criticized at work. Your old code reacts instantly. Get defensive, shut down, replay the words all day, but your new program kicks in. Trigger, criticism. Awareness, I feel tension in my chest. Choice, pause, breathe, respond when calm. The result, you keep your power, you keep your focus. That awareness just rewrote the code. Another example, you come home, exhausted, and you want to escape. YouTube, comfort food, endless scrolling. Old program, reward autopilot. New command, delay gratification by 5 minutes, just 5, stretch. Write 1 page, sit in silence. 5 minutes later, the craving passes. The autopilot breaks. You've proven you control the machine. That's real freedom. And it grows each time you practice it. You don't have to master it overnight. You only have to interrupt the pattern once and again until the interruption becomes the pattern. That's the secret of reprogramming. Repetition replaces reaction, the price of staying asleep. Let's talk about the cost of staying on autopilot. If you do nothing, nothing changes. If you keep reacting, you'll keep repeating. And if you keep repeating, you'll end up exactly where you already are, just older and angrier that you didn't act sooner. That's the silent tragedy of the untrained mind. You're trapped inside habits you didn't choose. So let's make a decision right now. You're awake. You're aware. You're rewriting the code. No more drifting through your own life. Say it again, slowly, so it sinks deeper. Awareness is the first rewrite. From awareness to action. Now that you've spotted your programming, what do you do with it? You act consciously, you act slowly, you act deliberately. Every time you feel the urge to check your phone, delay. Every time you want to justify your excuses, speak truth instead. Every time you feel panic rising, breathe once and become the observer. You're training your mental muscle to deactivate emotional autopilot. That's the difference between living by default and living by design. It's not about perfection, it's about participation. You don't need to get it right, you just need to get aware. Reinforce the new identity. This is identity level training. You are no longer someone trying to be disciplined. You are someone programming discipline. The way you describe yourself to yourself matters. Stop saying, I'm bad at focus. Start saying, I'm learning awareness. Stop saying, I keep falling back. Start saying, I catch myself faster each time. That's the language of self-command. You rewrite the story by changing the narrator. Remember, repetition is not failure. Repetition is the mechanism of programming. This is the part where the old code resists. Let it yell. Keep rewriting. Your thoughts are not rebellion, they're routine, and routine can be replaced. Say it again. Awareness is the first rewrite. Closing reinforcement. Every controlled breath, every moment you delay reaction, every time you choose awareness over impulse, you are training success. That's how self-control begins. One conscious interruption at a time. You can't command your mind if you're not awake inside it. So this is your new morning ritual, your mental password, your activation code. Awareness is the first rewrite. Say it when you wake up. Say it before you open your phone. Say it when you feel chaos rushing in, because everything you want, clarity, discipline, success, starts in one place, awareness. You learned how to wake your mind. Now, it's time to feed it new commands. Chapter 2. Repetition builds reality. Repetition builds reality. That's not a slogan. That's the law of the mind. Your subconscious doesn't respond to logic. It responds to rhythm. It doesn't care about your dreams, your intentions, or your excuses. It only listens to repetition. Every word you say, every thought you repeat, every action you perform, it all programs something. And what you practice becomes who you are. Most people have been repeating the wrong code for years. They install weakness with their own words. They rehearse limitation until it sounds like truth. You've said it before. I can't. You've whispered it. Maybe later. You've sighed it. It's too hard. That's not harmless, that's training. And your subconscious? It's obedient, it doesn't doubt you. If you tell it you're tired, it slows down. If you tell it you're weak, it yields. If you tell it you can't, it stops trying. What you say is what you install. Say it again. What I say is what I install. Words are commands, not descriptions. When you talk, you're not describing your state, you're defining it. The way you speak isn't commentary, it's coding. Each sentence is an instruction your mind records and replay. Say, I'm stressed, and your brain releases stress chemistry to match. Say, I'm calm, and it starts to regulate your breathing. That's not magic. That's neuroplasticity responding to narrative. So ask yourself, what commands are you giving your system every day? You repeat, I don't have time, and your brain believes in scarcity. You say, I'm bad at focus, and your brain stops attempting depth. You tell friends, I just can't be consistent, and then wonder why you quit everything you start, because repetition builds reality. Every word chisels identity. So choose your language as if your future depends on it, because it does. Toxic repetition versus training repetition. There are two kinds of repetition, the one that trains mastery and the one that trains misery. Toxic repetition sounds like self-talk, dripping with apology and surrender. I always fail. I'll start when things calm down. Nobody ever listens to me. You repeat those lines for years and then you wonder why you live in emotional debt. That's not fate, that's programming. Training repetition, on the other hand, is deliberate, disciplined, rhythmic. It's daily reminders like, I keep my word. I operate under pressure. I decide how I feel. Say it. Repeat it. Imprint it. The difference isn't positivity, it's authorship. You take the pen back from your doubt and write new code. That's the key. Your mind doesn't need more emotion, it needs more instruction. Because emotion reacts, but repetition rewires. proof exists everywhere. Look at any high performer, athlete, soldier, artist, surgeon. They build excellence through brutal repetition. Drills, routines, habits, rituals. The same act over and over until excellence becomes automatic. That's subconscious programming at work. Disciplined repetition that turns action into reflex. Now look at the average person. Repeated distraction, repeated hesitation, repeated excuses. The same loops over and over until mediocrity becomes reflex. Again, repetition builds reality. Practice distraction and you get chaos. Practice focus and you get command. Stop saying you can't concentrate. The problem isn't ability, it's rehearsal. You've practiced impatience, you've practiced avoidance, you've memorized inconsistency. Now practice power, because what you practice privately will define you publicly. Reprogramming through rhythm. You can't reason your way into self-control. You have to train it through rhythm, structure, and repetition. Start every morning with command language, short phrases that install direction. Say out loud, I command focus. I delay impulse. I finish what I start. Don't wait to believe it. Repetition creates belief. You don't fake it, you forge it. The subconscious adopts patterns faster than logic can interrupt. That's why propaganda works. That's why affirmations work. That's why habit loops are hard to break. The mind is a sponge, not a judge. It soaks up whatever you feed it most often, so feed it clarity, feed it control, feed it consistency. Remember the rule, what you say is what you install. Unlearning. Repetition in reverse. You can't delete programs, you can only overwrite them, so stop fighting old habits head on. Start replacing them through new repetition. Don't say, I won't procrastinate. Say, I act immediately. The brain focuses on the verb, not the negation. Tell it what to do, not what to avoid. Every time you rephrase a weakness into a command, you weaken the old code, and each time you repeat it, you burn a new path deeper into neural memory. That's how reprogramming works. Deliberate, boring, consistent rehearsal. It's not about motivation, it's about mechanical discipline. You don't need hype, you need sequence. You don't need their permission, you need repetition. Practical exercise, the command loop. Here's a drill. Do it for 7 days. 1. Identify one phrase you say too often that limits you. Example, I can't focus. 2. Replace it with a directive that empowers you. New phrase, my focus obeys me. 3. Repeat it 50 times a day, silently, verbally, while walking, while driving. Why 50? Because repetition breeds recognition, recognition breeds acceptance, and acceptance breeds identity. Your mind starts to expect that command, then it starts to execute it. Because again, the mind doesn't know what's true, it only knows what's repeated. You become what you hear most. That's how language transcends psychology. It becomes physiology. Your posture changes, your tone stabilizes, your decisions accelerate, all from repeated micro-commands spoken with authority. Break the loop before it builds you. Every time you catch yourself repeating an old weakness, stop, mid-sentence, don't finish the old script, interrupt it, say out loud, cancel. Then replace it with your chosen phrase. If you say, I'm always late, cancel it, replace with, I'm getting better at timing. If you say, I'm terrible at talking to people, cancel it, replace with, I'm learning to connect with clarity. Do that enough and autopilot fades. You become conscious again. Remember chapter 1, awareness is the first rewrite. Now, repetition writes the new program. Awareness wakes you up, repetition builds what stays awake. That's the process. You're not chasing motivation, you're installing mastery. Say it again. What I say is what I install. You are the programmer. Your voice is the keyboard, your habits are the code. Every phrase, every thought, every repetition creates the world you walk into tomorrow. You can't afford careless words. You can't afford lazy thoughts. Everything repeats until rewritten. So use repetition like a weapon. Control language, command attention. Cement discipline. That's how you reprogram autopilot into authority. You learned how to wake up in chapter 1. Here, you learned how to rewire through repetition. Now, let's talk about the next stage of programming, the moment between impulse and action. Chapter 3. Control begins with delay. Control doesn't begin with movement, it begins with delay. The strongest minds don't react fastest, they react last. Because in every situation, every conflict, every craving, every distraction, there is a tiny space between impulse and action. That space is your power. That space is your freedom. That space is where discipline lives, and that's where most people lose. They feel an urge and they act. Feel anger, speak. Feel boredom, scroll. Feel stress, quit. quit, impulse, reaction, regret. That's the cycle. And all it takes to break it is 3 seconds. Welcome to the 3-second rule of self-control. Pause, breathe, choose. That's it. A 3-second delay between what you feel and what you do. It sounds small. It changes everything. In the power inside. 3 seconds. Within those 3 seconds, you decide who you are, not your mood, not your fear, not your habits, you. It's the moment where emotion rises like a wave and you either surf it or drown under it. Most people drown because they move too fast, they confuse speed with strength. But real control moves slowly and precisely. Reaction is easy. Response is power. Say it with me. Delay is dominance. When you wait, you win. When you delay, you decide. Because in delay, the thinking brain turns on and the emotional one turns off. 3 seconds is long enough to bring logic back online. Try it. Next time you're tempted to interrupt, to defend, to click, count 3, 2, 1, then choose. That's how control begins. The brain behind control. Your mind has 2 voices competing for control, impulse and instruction. Impulse lives in survival. It wants relief now, satisfaction now, release now. Instruction lives in purpose. It knows when to wait, when to observe, when to act. The 3-second rule gives instruction a head start. Scientifically, those seconds let your prefrontal cortex, your command center, step in and say, hold on, let's think. That's why deep breathing works. It's not spiritual fluff, it's neurological space creation. You're literally buying time for the part of your brain that makes smart decisions. And the more you practice deliberate delay, the stronger that circuit becomes. Resistance trains control, and control builds character. Again, delay is dominance. Everyday practice, micro moments. Let's apply it in real life right now. Moment 1, the phone check. You see a notification. Reflex says, check it. You stop. 3, 2, 1. You ask, is this urgent or just habitual? You breathe instead. You move on. You didn't lose time. You gained control. Moment 2, the argument. Someone insults you. You feel heat, the voice rising in your throat. 3, 2, 1. You exhale. Keep silent. You watch them react while you stay still. That's the power of delay. They lose control while you collect power. Moment 3, the craving. You want the snack, the drink, the escape. 3 seconds. You say the phrase out loud. Delay is dominance. You breathe, the craving passes by itself, just like a cloud in wind. This is how mental toughness is built, not by fighting impulses, but by outlasting them, the myth of instant control. Most people think self-control means eliminating temptation. It doesn't. It means delaying reaction. You'll still feel emotion. You'll still feel desire. The difference is, they no longer dictate behavior. You can't erase your impulses, but you can outweight them. That's the real test of mastery. It's not about emotionlessness, it's about emotional endurance. Because discipline doesn't silence emotion, it manages direction. Every urge fades when given time. Every regret grows when given none. You have a choice. That's the key. Delay is dominance. Building the habit of delay. Here's the truth. The delay response can be trained just like a reflex. You can make calm your automatic reaction. Start simple. Every time you feel impulse, don't fight, just count, stop. Inhale for 3 seconds. Exhale for 3 seconds. During that breath, replace emotion with instruction. Say out loud one command. Pause, breathe, choose. Do it 10 times a day for 1 week. By day 5, your brain starts defaulting to pause automatically. That's reprogramming in action. You build a new circuit. Impulse equals pause. The same way you trained impulse equals react, you now train its opposite. That's the science of habit hacking, programmable human control. Examples from real training. Think of elite professionals, surgeons, pilots, soldiers. They all train delay. They feel adrenaline, panic, urgency, but they do not move instantly. They pause, they breathe, they decide. That pause saves lives, saves missions, saves consequences. Now imagine applying that precision in your daily battles, emails, arguments, decisions. 3 seconds of thought separate chaos from command. You don't have to be cold, you have to be conscious. You don't need perfection, you need practice. This is mental minimalism, fewer reactions, more decisions. Say it again, delay is dominance. The discipline of waiting. Waiting is not weakness, waiting is weaponry. You wait to regain control. You wait to see intentions. You wait to allow emotion to settle. Each second of stillness is a rep in your mental gym. Patience isn't passive, it's precise timing. It's you saying, I move when I choose, not when I'm triggered. Delay builds trust with yourself because when you pause instead of panic, you prove you're the one driving. Every delayed impulse reinforces self-belief. I can handle this. I don't need to escape. I don't need to react. That is emotional sovereignty. You don't chase calm, you create it. You don't pray for control, you practice it. Detachment through delay. The longer you can wait before reacting, the less power external things have over you. People lose leverage when you don't respond immediately. Distractions lose force when they can't hijack instant gratification. That's the secret of control, stretching the distance between trigger and decision until only clarity fits. You become untouchable, not because life stops testing you, but because you stop flinching. Delay becomes identity, calm becomes character. Say it with intent. Delay is dominance. Transition to mastery. 3 seconds. That's all it takes to shift from reaction to reason. Every time you wait, you're training dominance. Every time you pause, you're reclaiming freedom. Every time you breathe instead of break, you're proving to your mind who's in command. Impulse used to own you, not anymore. Now delay belongs to you. Because control isn't about never acting, it's about never acting accidentally. That's maturity. That's mastery. That's mental programming at its finest. You've learned awareness, you've learned repetition. Now you've learned delay, the moment where command begins, control starts in silence. In the next chapter, you'll learn how to turn that silence into strength. Chapter 4. Discomfort is your new normal. Discomfort is not punishment. Discomfort is progress. Discomfort is the gym where self-control is built. Every time you chase comfort, you trade away strength. Every time you choose convenience, you weaken the muscle of discipline. The truth is simple. Comfort is the enemy of mental strength. You cannot program your mind for control if you never challenge it. You cannot demand resilience while avoiding resistance. And you cannot build freedom without friction. Say it now. Discomfort builds control. Control builds freedom. The lie of endless comfort. You've been sold a lie that comfort equals happiness. You have technology to remove waiting, machines to remove effort, entertainment to remove boredom. You've built a life designed to eliminate resistance, and then you wonder why you feel restless, anxious, and weak. The brain grows through challenge. It adapts only when pushed beyond ease. When life gives you smooth paths, the mind decays. It forgets what strength feels like. The mind without challenge softens. The spirit without discipline shrinks. The life without discomfort collapses the first time pressure arrives. If you fear discomfort, you fear growth. Say it again. Discomfort builds control. Control builds freedom. The science of adaptation. Your brain rewires itself to whatever you repeat. If you feed it constant ease, it learns fragility. If you feed it calculated hardship, it learns control. Neural adaptation doesn't care about comfort, it only knows repetition. It says, you're doing this again, it must be important. Expose it daily to manageable discomforts, and soon discomfort becomes familiar. Cold showers, early mornings, focused solitude, silence instead of arguments, restraint instead of reaction. Small controlled discomforts rewires your baseline for calm under stress. You are teaching your system that intensity doesn't mean danger, it means training. And each time you do it, you reinforce mental power. Discomfort builds control, control builds freedom. Start with simple, hard things. Training. The mind doesn't mean breaking yourself. It means challenging your comfort circuit in small, consistent ways. When the water is cold, step in anyway. Your body screams, but your will whispers louder. When focus feels hard, keep reading the same paragraph until it's mastered. You're not just learning a topic, you're teaching your brain endurance. When someone provokes you with words, stay silent. You're not losing, you're building restraint, the rarest form of strength. Each repetition is a rep of authority. You're proving that emotion doesn't rule you, command does. When you delay gratification, you plant seeds of power. When you face discomfort willingly, comfort loses control over you, because comfort only controls those who need it. Say it again. Discomfort builds control, control builds freedom. The threshold of growth. Growth lives one step past discomfort. Every new version of you waits on the other side of your resistance. You can't build resilience in theory. You must experience challenge until it feels normal. The first time you confront boredom during focused work, your brain screams to escape. The 10th time it obeys. The 20th time, it thanks you. Discomfort rewrites what normal means. You become calm in chaos. Still in storms, collected under pressure. That's mental power, not the absence of strain, but the calm mastery of it. The comfort trap. Comfort feels safe, but it's the slowest form of self-destruction. Comfort seduces you with words like "you deserve it" and "take it easy." But behind those words is an invisible chain: dependency. Comfort. Dependency is the death of command, because every time you choose comfort over challenge, you teach your mind that ease is survival, and then difficulty starts to feel like danger. The moment you believe difficulty is dangerous, you'll run from your own potential. So you must train your brain to see discomfort as familiar, even friendly. Say it with authority. Discomfort builds control. Control builds freedom. Building a discomfort routine. Make discomfort structured, not accidental. You can engineer small doses into your daily rhythm. Here's how. Take cold showers. Not for pain, but for practice. Sit in silence for 15 minutes with no device. Delay your first dopamine hit each morning. No screen, no sugar, no scrolling. End your workouts with one more repetition when your mind says, enough. Hold your response during frustration until calm arrives. These are not random hardships, they are deliberate conditioning. Each one rewires the brain to associate challenge with power, not panic. You are programming endurance with every moment you resist escape. Remember, repetition writes code. Do it enough, and resistance becomes your natural state. Discomfort equals decoding. Discomfort reveals the parts of you still untrained. When you flinch, when you avoid, when you excuse, that's the code still infected with comfort. You don't fix it with willpower once. You fix it with diligence daily. You must meet that resistance again and again until the reaction fades. That's the process of mental engineering. Repetition under pressure creates psychological armor. So next time it hurts, next time it's boring, next time it's uncomfortable, smile internally and say, here it is, the training moment. That line rebuilds identity. You no longer fear pressure, you feed on it. Discomfort builds control. Control builds freedom. The shift from avoidance to appetite. At first, you will resist discomfort. Then you will tolerate it. Eventually, you will crave it because you'll recognize it as the signal of growth. Comfort will begin to feel suspicious. You'll sense softness creeping in like decay. And that awareness keeps you sharp. The world rewards those who can act while others hesitate. That's the gift of training discomfort. When most people freeze, you feel normal. You move, you act, you dominate. Discomfort stops being an enemy and becomes energy, building freedom through control. Control is built through exposure, not avoidance. Every small act of voluntary discomfort expands your freedom. When the world tests you, you're already conditioned to stay calm under fire. You've built the reflex through deliberate struggle. Freedom is not the absence of hardship, it's the ability to function regardless of it. Cold water won't scare you. Empty noise won't shake you. Hard work won't exhaust you. You've been practicing this all along. Say it slowly. Let it anchor. Discomfort builds control. Control builds freedom. That's your new identity statement. The discipline of embracing challenge. From this point forward, every inconvenience is an invitation. Traffic, patience training. Delay, focus drill. Fatigue, endurance test. That's how disciplined minds think. They don't curse discomfort, they convert it into strength. And when you live like that, nothing intimidates you anymore. You quiet the noise because you've trained in more intense silence. You stay present under chaos because you've trained in still struggle. You endure pain without collapse because you've practiced it on purpose. You are not fragile anymore, you are forged. Control begins with awareness, then it strengthens through repetition. Then it becomes unshakable through discomfort. You've built the foundation, discipline through difficulty. Now it's time to channel that strength into laser-sharp purpose. Chapter 5. Train. Focus like a muscle. Focus is your fortress. That sentence is not a metaphor, it's an instruction. Your focus protects everything valuable in your life, your time, your goals, your control, your peace. But every moment you get distracted, you lower the gates and let invaders in. Attention is currency. Every scroll is spending power. Every click is an invoice. Every mindless glance is a withdrawal. And you don't even realize how broke you've become. You can build your body in the gym, but if you can't control your focus, you'll never direct that strength where it matters. Focus is the foundation of every form of success. Say it with me. Focus is your fortress. Attention is energy. You have limited energy every day, and your attention decides where that energy goes. When you lock onto a goal, your mind aims your energy like a laser. When you scatter focus across noise, your energy leaks like water from a broken tank. The world is designed to drain that tank. Flashing apps, constant alerts, unresolved emotions, open tabs. Each one is an invader. They look harmless, but they storm your mental fortress one notification at a time. The modern mind dies not from exhaustion, but from fragmentation. To rebuild your strength, treat attention as gold. Don't give it freely. Don't waste it carelessly. Spend it like an investor, intentionally, intelligently, selectively. Because wherever attention goes, life follows. Say it again. Focus is your fortress. The physiology of training. Focus can be trained like muscle tissue. You don't start with hours of discipline, you start with minutes. Timed, deliberate, structured minutes of deep work. Pick one task, one mission. Set a timer for 25 minutes. That's your set. When you complete it, take a 5-minute break, stretch, breathe, check nothing. Do another set, repeat. Congratulations, you've just lifted the mental equivalent of iron. Each session builds endurance. Each distraction resisted builds muscle fiber in your prefrontal cortex, the brain's control center. Repetition creates resistance. Resistance creates power. This is science turned into structure, and discipline becomes visible through time. When you want to quit, don't stop, shorten the duration, but keep the promise. The key is completion, not comfort. This single change separates amateurs from professionals, finishing what you start. The art of singular task mastery. Multitasking is the myth of the distracted age. It's not efficient, it's fractured. Every switch of tasks burns focus units. You reload your attention at the cost of energy. It's like lifting one weight halfway, dropping it, picking another, endless start and stop. No progress, only fatigue. Masters, surgeons, writers, athletes, leaders, all obey one universal rule. One mission, one mind. You will perform at your peak only when your focus operates like a sniper, not a scattergun. So practice singular tasking. When reading, just read. When working, just work. When resting, just rest. Stopping mid-flow to check, scroll, or toggle is like leaving your fortress door wide open. Distractions walk in while your concentration guards are asleep. Say the command again. Focus is your fortress. Environmental control. The environment either drains focus or defines it. You can't expect laser concentration in chaos. You have to design your surroundings to serve your discipline. Clean your desk, clutter confuses cognition, silence notifications, noise trains reaction, dim extra screens. Visual clutter equals cognitive clutter. Prepare your tools. Don't waste focus finding what you could have prepared before your surroundings should whisper purpose, not shout temptation. Build rituals around environment reset. When you sit in that same workspace daily, your brain recognizes the visual cue. This is where we focus. This is where we operate. You're conditioning your environment to anchor habit. The best athletes, pilots, and thinkers don't rely on willpower. They rely on preparation. They eliminate choice to keep focus sharp. That's why monks have empty cells, soldiers have strict barracks, and pros have routines. Simplicity is reinforcement. The battle at the gate's distraction is an invader. It doesn't knock, it sneaks. It disguises itself as good ideas, quick checks, messages, curiosity, but each one costs energy, time, clarity. Visualize your mind as a fortress. See the gate. Every time you choose to stay focused, you strengthen it. Every time you open it for distraction, you weaken it. You have guards, awareness, environment, and intention. Train them every day. When a thought tries to pull you away, stop, pause, return. Every refocus repetition is another brick in the wall. You won't stop invaders forever, but you can make entry costly. Make it easier to stay in than get out. And remember the code. Focus is your fortress. Defending energy from digital noise. Your phone is not the enemy. Your lack of control over it is technology amplifies whatever mind uses it. An undisciplined mind turns a device into destruction. A disciplined mind turns it into dominance. Set boundaries. Block harmful loops. Schedule notification checks like meals, no snacking allowed. Attention fasting works wonders. Spend an hour without your device daily. Regain your natural rhythm. Notice how your thoughts settle after the storm. Digital silence will feel uncomfortable at first. That's just detox. Stay through it. You'll discover what true focused peace feels like. You can't rewrite your mind if algorithms keep hijacking your thoughts. Remember the code that saves your concentration again and again. Focus is your fortress. Deep work, the discipline of immersion. Deep work isn't trendy, it's timeless. Every extraordinary creation, a book, a company, a masterpiece came from sustained, undisturbed focus. It's where you enter the zone, where time disappears and results compound. You don't chase flow, you earn it through constraint and monotony. Choose one daily block for immersion. No noise, no multitasking, no friction. Guard that hour like treasure. That hour becomes your edge. The more deeply you can work, the less competition you have, because almost nobody can. Every session of deep focus upgrades your mental operating system, teaching efficiency through calm endurance, sharpened through reflection. At the end of each day, inspect your attention like a ledger. Where did your focus go? Who stole it? Did you invest it or waste it? Write it down. Not for guilt, for data. Tracking attention builds awareness, and awareness is still the first rewrite. Each reflection is a recalibration. Without reflection, you keep bleeding attention through hidden cracks. Plug them early before distraction becomes identity again. You don't lose focus, you surrender it. Stay honest, take it back. Repetition turns focus into habit. Focus training works through monotony. You repeat attention just like lifting weight. Day after day, hour after hour, you practice staying present when your mind wants to flee. Boredom will hit stay. Fatigue will hit stay. Impulse will hit stay. That's the repetition that strengthens concentration's core. In time, focus stops being an effort. It becomes your default operating mode. That's the ultimate sign of mastery. Calm equals concentration. Say it again, slowly. As identity confirmation, focus is your fortress. Closing reinforcement. You can't build success on distraction. You can't build greatness with split attention. You must train focus until it becomes obedience. Every scroll, every click, every interruption, a thief. Every pause, every boundary, every repetition, a brick. Choose which side of the wall your life will be built on. Attention is power, direction is destiny, and focus is the fortress that guards them both. Repetition rewires, delay commands, discomfort strengthens, but focus sustains. You've built awareness, discipline, endurance. Now you wield precision. Chapter 6. Emotion is energy, not authority. Emotion is not the enemy. Emotion is energy, raw fuel, potential power. But make no mistake, emotion is a terrible leader. Follow it blindly, and it will burn everything you've built. Most people let emotion drive the car and then act surprised when they crash. Their anger speaks before they do. Their insecurity decides before they think. Their impatience reacts before they breathe. When emotion leads, reason follows in chains. Your job is simple, reverse the order. You lead. Emotion follows. Say it with me. I use emotion. Emotion doesn't use me. Emotion as a signal. Emotions are internal signals, messages, not masters. Anger means something feels violated. Fear means something feels uncertain. Sadness means something valuable feels lost. But the problem begins when you mistake signal for command. You feel anger and assume it means attack. You feel fear and assume it means retreat. You feel sadness and assume it means quit. Your task is decoding, not obeying. Emotion tells you that energy is available. Your discipline decides how to use it. That's the training, to observe emotion without letting it steer the result. Remember the rule. I use emotion. Emotion doesn't use me. Stop identifying. Start observing. Here's the language shift that reprograms your emotional control. Don't say, I'm angry. Say, I'm noticing anger. Don't say, I'm anxious. Say, I'm experiencing anxiety right now. Don't say, I'm sad. Say, I feel sadness, but I choose action. That single linguistic change from I am to I notice separates identity from reaction. When you stop identifying with emotion, you stop surrendering to it. You become the observer, not the subject. Say it again like a code. I use emotion. Emotion doesn't use me. The science of separation. Neuroscience proves what ancient wisdom already knew. Awareness dissolves emotional hypnosis. The moment you name an emotion, the limbic system calms down. Labeling shifts activity from the amygdala, reactivity, to the prefrontal cortex, reason. That's not just philosophy, that's physiology. You are literally turning panic into pattern recognition. Naming emotion doesn't weaken you, it reroutes your energy from chaos to command. So next time waves of emotion crash through, don't suppress them, observe them, write them down, say them out loud. Watch how distance creates calm. You can't command what you won't confront, and you can't use what you won't name. I use emotion. Emotion doesn't use me. Reframing emotional energy. Energy is neutral until labeled. Emotion is simply movement. In emotion. Use it, direct it, convert it. Turn anger into determination. Turn fear into preparation. Turn jealousy into motivation. Each emotion carries charge. Redirect it consciously instead of leaking it unconsciously. Say you're nervous before a presentation. That's just energy without a job. Assign it a task. Focus, clarity, delivery. Your body floods with adrenaline, not to destroy you, but to prepare you. so train your mind to interpret every emotional surge as fuel waiting for instruction. Emotion itself isn't the enemy, absence of discipline is. When you reclaim authorship, energy becomes obedience. Say it again. I use emotion. Emotion doesn't use me. The formula of emotional command. Control of emotion doesn't start with suppression, it starts with structure. Here's how you train it daily. 1. Notice label. What you feel. Anger, guilt, fear, joy. 2. Name. Speak it neutrally. I'm noticing anger rise. 3. Breathe. Slow inhale through nose, exhale through mouth. 4. Choose. Decide on a specific action that reflects discipline, not reaction. That's the 4-step program. Notice, name, breathe, choose. Each repetition strengthens the mental muscle of separation. You're training awareness to catch emotion at ignition, not explosion. This system transforms emotional chaos into clarity. Use it enough, and emotional outbursts start to die from starvation. You stop feeding them attention and they stop seeking control. Because anger cannot lead if you never follow, I use emotion. Emotion doesn't use me. Examples in practice. You're in traffic. Someone cuts you off. Old program. Anger drives the reaction. Shoulders tense. Words fly. New program. Awareness rises. I'm noticing anger. You breathe once. Release the grip. Stay neutral. In a single second, you save peace, energy, and dignity. Next scenario. You receive criticism, harsh words from someone you respect. Old program. Hurt. Defense. Argument. New program. Awareness. I'm noticing defensiveness. You breathe, analyze, extract useful feedback. Discard tone. That's higher processing, emotion-serving mastery, not mutiny. And the more you train it, the faster the separation becomes automatic, emotional transmutation. Emotion isn't something to kill, it's something to convert. Think of emotion as raw, kinetic energy. You can suppress it, which burns you, or redirect it, which builds you. Anger at injustice, channel it into contribution. Fear of failure, channel it into preparation. Sadness from loss, channel it into appreciation. Every emotion has a productive twin. Find it, activate it, own it. The weak run from emotion. The disciplined use it as construction material. That's mastery. That's mental alchemy. Say it slow, like programming code. I use emotion. Emotion doesn't use me. The crisis test. Under pressure, your training shows. When chaos hits, emotion flares up first. You can't stop that. But those first 3 seconds, that's where you choose if energy becomes action or explosion. Delay, breathe, focus. We've practiced this already. Emotion builds intensity, discipline transforms it into precision. Use that rush to move fast but act deliberate. Let adrenaline heighten your senses but not your words. That's how soldiers, athletes, and leaders survive crisis. Emotional energy paired with controlled expression. Emotion fuels speed. Discipline directs accuracy. Detachment, not apathy. Emotional control isn't coldness, it's clear thinking under heat. Detachment doesn't mean indifference, it means influence. You can engage fully without being overwhelmed. Detachment says, I feel it, but I'm not it. And that single separation makes you unbeatable in any environment. When others panic, you observe. When others rage, you listen. When others overreact, you calculate. The man who can feel deeply, yet act deliberately holds power in every room. Say it once more for grounding. I use emotion. Emotion doesn't use me. Emotion is energy, not enemy, not authority. It is a fire meant to be contained, aimed, and used. Every thought is a match, every feeling, a flame. You can burn your progress or warm your purpose. The difference is command. Stop identifying, start instructing, stop reacting, start redirecting. From now on, whenever emotion rises, treat it like a signal asking, what shall we build? Because the answer to every surge is the same. I use emotion, emotion doesn't use me. You've learned awareness, you've built focus, you've mastered restraint. Now you'll take this power inward to command the voice that never stops speaking. Chapter 7. Command your inner voice. There's a voice inside your head right now. You know it. It never stops talking. It argues, it doubts, it criticizes, and sometimes it destroys. That voice narrates your life. But here's the truth. It isn't truth. It's programming. And if you don't command it, it will command you. Most people lose their battles before they even move, because they lose the argument inside their head. Self-talk is silent architecture. It builds, or it breaks, it directs, or it distracts. Your internal dialogue controls your direction. The words you repeat internally become the world you live externally. so you must become the commander of that voice, not its victim. Say it clearly. Talk like the person you want to become until you are. The invisible dictator. The inner voice is powerful. It shapes identity through repetition. Every time you think something, you reinforce a neural connection that says, "This is me." Say, "I'm lazy often enough," and your body obeys. Say, "I'm confident," and your posture changes, your breathing deepens, your mind aligns. Your subconscious follows the tone of your internal dialogue more than the content of your goals. The problem is, most people's voice is cruel, impatient, and confused. They think their thoughts are reality, when really they are commands, badly written ones. You've been arguing with a script you never wrote. Stop arguing. Start rewriting. Say it again. Talk like the person you want to become until you are. From emotion to instruction. Weak self-talk is emotional. Strong self-talk is instructional. The weak voice says, "I don't feel like it. I'm scared. I can't do this." The strong voice says, "Do it anyway. One step. Finish." Notice the difference. One reacts, the other directs. To reprogram your mind, you must convert emotional drama into concrete command. This means switching from commentary to instruction. Instead of "I'm nervous," say "Relax your shoulders." Instead of "I'm overwhelmed," say "Focus on one thing." Instead of "I don't know if I can handle this," say "Handle what's in front of you." You are not here to negotiate with emotion. You are here to lead it. That is mental authority. That is command language. Words are triggers. Every word has physiological consequence. Tell yourself, "I'm tired," and your energy drops. Say, "I'm awake," and your body starts mobilizing. Your brain listens to your words faster than it listens to reality. When you learn to give direct orders, your actions align faster with intent. This is why soldiers, athletes, and performers use short commands. Move, hold, breathe, execute. Instruction bypasses doubt. It focuses energy on completion, not contemplation. And every time you do it, every time you issue clean commands to yourself, your self-trust grows, because that voice stops being noise, it becomes navigation, turning the inner critic into an inner coach. You may not silence your inner critic entirely, but you can make it work for you. When that voice says, "You're not ready," translate it into preparation energy. When it says, "This will be hard," answer, "Exactly. That's how I get stronger." Mockery becomes measurement. Fear becomes focus. Doubt becomes data. That's how professionals operate. They don't listen for comfort. They listen for cues. You can do the same. Train your inner voice to switch tone. Instead of insult, offer insight. Instead of complaint, give command. Remember, you built that critic through years of repetition. You can retrain it through deliberate dialogue. Say it once more. Talk like the person you want to become until you are. Command practice. Here's how you start. 3 steps. 1. Catch your commentary. Listen to the background noise. Every complaint, every tired thought, every apology, notice them without judgment. 2. Rewrite it instantly. "I can't" becomes "I'm learning." "I'm behind" becomes "I'm catching up." "I feel stuck" becomes "I'm moving forward right now." 3. Say it out loud with presence. Your voice activates emotion, and emotion reinforces memory. This repetition rewires faster than silence ever could. You don't fix internal chaos with more thinking. You fix it with direction. So direct it. Command it. Say it as identity, not wish. Talk like the person you want to become until you are. When the mind fights back. At first, your mind will rebel. It will throw back sarcasm. It will whisper, "You're lying to yourself." Let it protest. It's old programming defending itself. You're not suppressing reality. You're installing new software. It resists because it recognizes replacement. Stay consistent. Speak with certainty even when you don't feel it, because emotion follows repetition, not permission. Fake confidence doesn't mean lying. It means leading emotion until belief catches up. That's how transformation works. Repetition precedes realization, the tone test. There's power in tone. You might be saying the right words, but if the tone carries doubt, the message still programs weakness. Don't whisper at yourself when you need a command. Speak from your chest, calm, low, firm. You don't have to shout, but you must sound like someone who expects obedience. Tone is authority, and authority builds consistency. When your mind hears conviction in your voice, it stops resisting and starts responding. That's when you'll notice your physiology aligning. Shoulders back, posture upright, mood stable. The system obeys sound because the system obeys leadership, conversation, control, and chaos. When emotion spikes, fear, anger, stress, the internal dialogue multiplies. That's when command language matters most. The average mind in panic says, "What if everything falls apart?" over and over until it becomes prophecy. A disciplined mind in panic says, "Breathe, scan, act, short, direct, real." Replace spiral with structure, because emotion freaking out only respects structure. You are always one sentence away from clarity. That sentence must be command, not complaint. Say it one more time. Talk like the person you want to become until you are. Building the identity voice. The ultimate goal is identity integration. Your voice becomes proof of who you are. When you speak like the disciplined, calm, focused person you want to be, you're not pretending. You're practicing. Because the subconscious doesn't argue with repetition, it accepts what's repeated with emotion. So flood your days with the voice of the future you. Say, "I'm calm." Say, "I'm precise." Say, "I'm consistent." And one day you'll realize you don't have to say it anymore. It became truth. That's how identity is installed. Through tone, timing, and tenacity. Closing reinforcement. Your inner voice is the loudest environment you'll ever live in. You can decorate it with doubt or discipline. You control the language, the rhythm, the volume. Every word either weakens or strengthens you, so use your voice like a scalpel, not a weapon. Cut away noise. Craft direction. Construct belief. When you command your voice, you command your life, because all external leadership begins with internal authority. And remember, always, every morning until it becomes instinct, talk like the person you want to become until you are. You've taken control of your emotions, you've owned your inner dialogue. Now we turn outward to the habits that shape identity itself. Chapter 8. Rewire habits. Rebuild self-image. Habits are not tasks. Habits are identity in motion. Every habit you repeat silently declares, "This is who I am." Every decision, every action, every micro-routine, a neural vote for the kind of person you believe yourself to be. You think you have habits. The truth is your habits have you. And the only way to change who you are is to change what you repeatedly do. Behavior doesn't follow identity. Identity follows behavior. That's why reprogramming habits is not just productivity work. It's character work. Say it with me. Consistency is self-respect in practice. Your habits are your self-portrait. Every day you paint your self-image through repetition. When you wake up and choose action over excuse, you tell your mind, "I am reliable." When you keep a promise in private, you tell your identity, "I am disciplined." When you finish what you start, you say, "I am a closer, not a quitter." You're always teaching your brain who you are through proof, not theory. But most people don't realize how much signal their behavior sends. If you break your own routines, your subconscious records, "We can't be trusted." If you skip the difficult task, it registers, "We avoid challenge." If you stay consistent, it locks in, "We follow through." That's how habits build self-image. You're not what you promise, you're what you practice. Consistency is self-respect in practice. The feedback loop of identity. You act from identity, but identity is shaped by action, a loop that can trap or transform you. Every repetition strengthens the signal, "I am the kind of person who..." If that statement ends with "quits early" or gets distracted, then repetition becomes self-sabotage. If it ends with "finishes" or "shows up," repetition becomes reinforcement. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You only need one proof per day, one disciplined act that says, "I keep promises to myself." That single act rewires your brain more effectively than any goal list, any motivation video, or any external praise. Because real power doesn't come from willpower, it comes from system power. And your system is what you do routinely, not what you feel occasionally. Habit stacking. Build on what exists. If habits define identity, stacking rewrites it. Stacking means connecting a new habit to an old one, using existing structure to install new code. Example, you already make coffee. Stack on 1 minute of journaling while you drink it. You already brush your teeth. Stack on a personal mantra as you finish. Consistency is self-respect in practice. You already lock your phone at night. Stack on mental reflection. What did I finish today? By linking new behaviors to familiar anchors, you lower resistance. You turn decision fatigue into automation. Habits multiply faster when they're attached to existing routines. Frictionless building. That's how you rewire identity stealthily. Step by step, stack by stack. The ritual of morning programming. Morning is mental software installation time. Whatever loop you play first writes the mood of your day. Don't begin with noise or comparison. Begin with command. Your morning routine doesn't need to be long. It needs to be consistent. One habit, It could be 10 push-ups, 2 minutes of silence, or jotting down one thought of gratitude, but it must happen every single day. That action is not about comfort, it's about congruence. When you start every morning with your own instruction, you stop waking up as a passenger and start waking up as the pilot. And one day you'll realize that every habit you built became another line of code in the identity file you're writing. Consistency is self-respect in practice. Anchoring habits to honor. Motivation fades because it seeks reward. Discipline lasts because it serves honor. Link every small action to your personal integrity, not your emotional state. You don't brush your teeth because you feel like it, you do it because it's right. Apply that logic to everything. You don't work out because you crave results. You train because you honor your health. You don't keep quiet to avoid drama. You stay composed because you respect your peace. You don't journal because life is easy. You do it because reflection sharpens truth. This alignment rewires the meaning of habit from boring obligation to evidence of dignity. Every time you act with consistency, you affirm that your word matters, and every small fulfilled promise polishes your internal reputation. You become proud to follow your own rules. That's what self-respect feels like, and you earn it daily. From temporary reward to permanent proof. Motivation teaches you to chase outcomes. Discipline teaches you to build identity. Temporary rewards fade. Habits hardwire. When you make discipline the reward, you'll never run out of fuel because every action itself is the win. If you work out, the win is effort. If you study, the win is focus. If you speak with restraint, the win is control. Over time, the satisfaction of integrity outweighs the need for excitement. That's when transformation becomes sustainable. You stop acting for praise and start operating from principle. That's the shift from external validation to internal honor. Say it again. Consistency is self-respect in practice. The mechanics of habit rewiring. The process of habit change is messier than motivation tells you. You'll start strong, relapse, resist, reset, repeat. But each repetition, even failure recognized, is wiring clarity. Habits change in 3 layers: cue, routine, reward. Identify your cues, interrupt them. Replace the routine, reward the effort. Over time, repetition builds confidence because completion breeds trust. You're proving to yourself that you're capable of consistency, and that evidence becomes belief. Belief becomes behavior. Behavior becomes identity. That's the loop of rewiring truth. Build habits like architecture. Think like a builder, not a sprinter. Each good habit is one brick. One action per day isn't trivial, it's infrastructure. And no tower stands forever if the foundation is ignored. Start small. Keep standards high. If the brick feels light, add another. If it feels heavy, just don't drop it. The secret isn't speed, it's stability. The stronger your base, the higher you can build. Your dream self isn't hiding somewhere out there. It's constructed through stacks of deliberate, ordinary acts that you repeat until they form structure. Consistency is self-respect in practice. The mirror effect. Your self-image mirrors your actions. If you act sloppy, the mirror reflects shame. If you act disciplined, the mirror reflects pride. You can't affirm your way out of low self-esteem. You must behave your way out of it. Confidence isn't shouted, it's earned through evidence. The more consistent you are with your standards, the more pride you feel seeing yourself follow through. The mirror isn't judging you, it's simply displaying the truth your habits create. You decide what's reflected by what you repeat. Closing reflection. Habits declare identity. Routines build reputation. Consistency proves respect. Every act of discipline is self-conversation in motion. Every routine is a contract with who you said you'd become. Most people chase goals to feel proud someday. The disciplined live habits that make them proud every day. You'll never need external validation when your habits become your evidence. And that's how you rebuild self-image. One small promise, honored endlessly. Say it with authority, the mantra that defines identity from this chapter forward. Consistency is self-respect in practice. You've built control over emotion and voice. Now it's time to move from repetition to liberation, to use discipline as the doorway to freedom itself. Chapter 9. Mental discipline creates freedom. People think discipline is prison. They think it's cold, rigid, suffocating. They couldn't be more wrong. True discipline doesn't trap you, it frees you. Because discipline is not about restriction. It's about release. Release from chaos, from wasted motion, from wasted life. Structure doesn't limit you. Structure protects you from distraction, from disorder, from yourself. Say it slowly and let it sink in. Structure sets you free. Discipline unlocks peace. The lie about freedom. You've been told freedom means doing whatever you want, whenever you want. That's a lie fed by comfort and confirmed by chaos. Real freedom doesn't come from options. It comes from order. You can have limitless choices and still feel trapped by indecision. But when you live by principle and process, you move freely through life without confusion. Freedom without control collapses into addiction, distraction, and exhaustion. Freedom with structure becomes clarity, momentum, and peace. The undisciplined shout, "I'm free." Yet every impulse owns them, their phone, their hunger, their boredom, their fear. That's not freedom, that's enslavement dressed as comfort. Freedom means you command yourself. Freedom means nothing external can force your reaction. And that begins with mental discipline. Say it again. Structure sets you free. Discipline unlocks peace. Military precision. Freedom through routine. Think about the military. From the outside, all you see is rules. Wake times, formations, drills, routines. It looks suffocating. But ask anyone who's lived it, there's peace in that order. Why? Because repetition removes decision fatigue. They don't waste mental energy on what do I do next. Their day already knows uniforms are the same. Tasks are defined, standards are exact. Nothing left for confusion to exploit. That's why when pressure hits, they respond, not react. Their minds are free, even in combat, because structure protects mental clarity. That's freedom in its purest form, the peace that comes from precision, creative masters, freedom through boundaries. Now look at creators, painters, writers, musicians. You think creativity thrives on chaos, but every master lives by structure. Painters limit their palette, writers their schedule, musicians their key. Those boundaries create innovation. Picasso practiced classic forms for decades before breaking them. Beethoven repeated scales endlessly before composing genius. Great artists aren't random, they're relentlessly structured. Because creativity requires constraints without edges, your focus dissolves, your ideas scatter. Discipline builds the container so expression can fill it. That's why pros create more than amateurs. Discipline fuels creative freedom. Say the mantra again. Structure sets you free. Discipline unlocks peace. Athletes, freedom through consistency. Elite athletes embody this truth better than anyone. Their entire life is repetition, early mornings, drills, diets, recovery, rituals. To outsiders, it looks maddeningly strict. To them, it's serenity. Why? Because they've turned routine into rhythm. They don't negotiate with effort, it's built into identity. Their peace comes from knowing every variable they control is locked down. They've built systems that make performance inevitable. No chaos, no guesswork, just trust in the process. That's the paradox. Total order equals total flow, because when everything is structured, the mind is finally free to perform. Structure removes noise. Freedom isn't the absence of limits, it's the absence of noise. Structure filters that noise. Create a schedule and you filter distractions. Set priorities and you filter chaos. Follow routines and you filter doubt. People mistake discipline for control-freak behavior, but in truth, discipline is energy preservation. You remove friction before it drains you. You don't waste time deciding, you execute. You don't waste motion switching, you focus. You don't waste energy doubting, you trust the system you built. That's how mental discipline creates calm, not through suppression but subtraction. The more structure you add, the more space you actually gain. Structure sets you free. Discipline unlocks peace. The peace in predictability. The untrained mind craves excitement, endless novelty, endless change. But constant change keeps you anxious, not alive. Discipline gives your nervous system predictability, and predictability gives you peace. Morning routines are not boring, they are anchors. Planning your day is not rigidity, it's relief. When you know what comes next, your brain stops panicking about what it forgot. That calm gives clarity, and clarity gives creativity. Structure doesn't kill spontaneity, it gives it a place to live safely. You're not removing adventure, you're removing anxiety. There is peace in repetition, there is strength in schedule, there is freedom in rhythm. Discipline in the modern world. Look around. Few people are disciplined anymore. That's why few people feel free. Distraction owns their time. Dopamine addiction owns their attention. Comfort owns their choices. Their lives are noisy but aimless. They run in circles yet call it open-mindedness. But you are reprogramming differently. You're not chasing stimulation. You're choosing stability. You're building systems that support peace, not chaos. Say it again, in rhythm. Structure sets you free. Discipline unlocks peace. This isn't theory, it's design. You're designing your mental ecosystem for focus and flow, building your personal code. Create your own discipline system, rules that simplify, not suffocate. Example, wake at the same time every day, that's order. List 3 tasks, finish them before the world interrupts, that's focus. Limit phone use to set hours, that's control. Each rule is a gatekeeper guarding peace. You don't need perfection, you need parameters. Parameters reduce panic, rules remove randomness. When you live by internal laws, external noise fades. You know why monks seem peaceful? It's not magic, it's structure. Every moment has a purpose, no thought is wasted, no energy is lost. Discipline gives life clean edges, and clean edges reveal clarity. Discipline is love, not punishment. You discipline what you value, you protect what you love, you train your body because you value your health, you control your mind because you value your peace. The untrained person believes discipline means denial. The disciplined person knows discipline means devotion. It says, I care enough about my purpose not to drain it through chaos. That is self-respect translated into structure. That is inner peace built from boundaries. Discipline is not you against yourself. It's you protecting the highest version of yourself. And that's why it feels like freedom. Say it again. Structure sets you free. Discipline unlocks peace. Mental discipline doesn't box you in. It gives your life a track so you can move forward with precision. Through structure, you eliminate noise. Through consistency, you eliminate confusion. Through order, you create peace. No system, no success, no boundaries, no balance. You live in a world that worships spontaneity, but the masters you admire all live by rules they created themselves because they discovered the secret. Total freedom is born inside total focus. You used awareness to wake up. You used repetition to reprogram. You used discomfort to grow. Now discipline makes those qualities permanent. Say it one last time with conviction as your new personal principle for life. Structure sets you free. Discipline unlocks peace. You've built control, you've built structure. Now it's time to anchor that strength in something even greater, unbreakable resilience. Chapter 10. The Programmed Mind. You've trained, you've repeated, you've rewired. Now we arrive at the goal. Not hype, not constant motivation automation. The programmed mind is not an inspired mind, it's an installed one. It doesn't rely on emotion to move, it relies on internal code. You've been rewriting that code from the moment you began this journey. Awareness, repetition, delay, discomfort, focus, emotion, discipline. This is the system uniting them all. The programmed mind doesn't fight itself every morning. It doesn't spend days negotiating with excuses. It simply operates. Calm command, predictable progress, inner quiet. That's mastery. That's freedom. The shift from effort to execution. Most people chase motivation because they still don't trust discipline. They want to feel ready before they act. That's emotional slavery disguised as productivity. The programmed mind doesn't wait. It executes. Like breathing, like blinking, like heartbeat. Action becomes automatic. That's the ultimate level of self-control, doing without internal debate. Motivation asks, do I feel like it? Automation answers, it's already happening. You've trained through repetition so your habits no longer need approval, your environment triggers focus, your body triggers presence, your mind triggers follow-through. Structure no longer feels like a cage, it feels like alignment. You are no longer dragging yourself through life, you are directed. What mastery feels like. Mastery is not adrenaline, it's quiet. It's cutting through clutter without noise, it's momentum without chaos. It doesn't feel like excitement, it feels like serenity. When you're truly programmed, daily effort no longer feels dramatic, it feels normal. You wake early, not because of willpower, but because that's your design. You stay composed, not because you resist emotion, but because calm became your default language. You finish what you start, not because you force it, but because incompletion feels wrong to your system. This is what peace with productivity feels like. Steady, predictable, effortless precision. The untrained call it boring, the disciplined call it mastery. Automation over emotion. The programmed mind lives by one rule. Emotion informs, but never commands. When you feel tired, the system still functions. When you feel fear, the routine still moves. When you feel doubt, the habit still executes. You took conscious control long enough for subconscious automation to take over. Now discipline runs in the background like operating software, invisible, dependable, efficient. You don't resist temptation. It simply doesn't register as an option anymore. You don't negotiate with distraction. You've trained elimination. You don't wrestle with laziness, it can't find a login. Automation spares you from self-argument. No wasted energy asking if only, execution saying when. Predictable progress. Most people chase explosive results. The programmed mind respects steady results. Predictability equals power. Because progress without panic builds trust. You don't fear slow days. You don't fear repetition. Your metrics are consistency and calm. Predictable progress feels like walking through fog, but always in the right direction. You don't rush. You regulate. This rhythm turns anxiety into accuracy. Because nothing surprises a programmed mind, it adjusts quietly and moves forward. That's peace. That's professionalism. That's permanent growth. The end of motivation addiction. The greatest trap in self-development is dependency on motivation. The constant search for a spark that never lasts. You've trained past that now. You replaced emotion with system, decisions with design. You understand, feelings are temporary, execution is timeless. Say it now like a reminder to your old self. I don't need hype. I need consistency. I don't need excitement. I need clarity. I don't need perfect days. I need programmed habits. The programmed mind doesn't crave inspiration. It creates it through action. And because it acts without waiting, life keeps compounding in its favor, the state of inner quiet. The loudest noise in an untrained mind is self-doubt. The loudest sound in a trained mind is silence. Silence means no inner argument. Silence means confidence through conviction. Silence means strength disguised as calm. With inner quiet, time slows down. Decisions are clean. Emotions obey. Most people confuse peace with lack of activity. Real peace is high activity under total control. The programmed mind doesn't slow life down, it smooths it out. The chaos outside still exists, but it cannot enter. Because calm is now your permanent operating state. That's the destination. The background hum of mastery, still diligent, still driven, but endlessly composed. The cycle of command. When you reach this stage, you notice a pattern. Discipline built habits. Habits created automation. Automation produced peace. Peace strengthened focus. Focus reinforces discipline. The loop sustains itself. You no longer rely on effort. You rely on structure. You no longer crave balance. You embody it. And you no longer fear failure. It's just feedback inside your system. Everything becomes data. Everything becomes direction. That's the architecture of unbreakable command. The new default. Look at the old version of you, waiting for motivation, pulled by distraction, overwhelmed by decision. That program has been deleted. Now, effort feels natural. Consistency feels comfortable. Excellence feels expected. You don't force self-control, you live it. And that's what self-programming is for. To replace constant effort with effortless order. The energy once lost to chaos now fuels calm precision. The strength once wasted on starting over now compounds steadily forward. You've become the balance point between drive and peace, assertive and still. Your software is confidence, your code is clarity. The master signal. Every system has a master command that runs it. For you, it's this. I choose my thoughts, I control my actions, I create my success. That is your root code. Repeat it often enough and your entire physiology adapts to it. Thought, choice, creation. The holy sequence of self-control. When you live by that code, you outgrow reactivity, you outgrow hesitation, you outgrow noise. Say it softly. I choose my thoughts, I control my actions, I create my success. Say it again, with more weight. I choose my thoughts, I control my actions, I create my success. Again, louder, more conviction. I choose my thoughts, I control my actions, I create my success. Now one more time, deliberate, powerful, final. I choose my thoughts, I control my actions, I create my success. That is not affirmation, it's activation. The programmed mind doesn't hope, it executes. It doesn't crave control, it has it. And it doesn't scream for peace, it moves inside it. Motivation is noise. Automation is control. Control is freedom. You've built that system now through awareness, through repetition, through delay, discomfort, focus, and discipline. You've gone from reaction to regulation, from chaos to command, from permission to power. You don't need reminders anymore. The program is live. From this point on, your life moves by design. I choose my thoughts. I control my actions. I create my success. 5 seconds of code, a lifetime of command. Your discipline has become your peace. Your structure has become your strength. Your program has become your freedom. You've now learned the code. Self-control is not talent, it's programming. Success is not luck, it's a sequence of commands obeyed day after day. You are no longer a passenger in your own head. You have installed awareness. You have installed discipline. You have installed control. Every time your emotions scream, you will whisper one phrase, I am programmed for clarity. Every time distraction calls, you'll respond, focus is my language. Every time comfort tempts you back, remember, freedom begins with structure. From this moment forward, you don't wait for readiness, you initiate execution. The program is running now. The only command left is this: act like the person your mind now knows you are. Execute, succeed, repeat.